Good morning. Welcome to Pacific Unitarian Universalist Church. We try to be a beacon of progressive religious thought here in the South Bay. Our church was born in 1957, and we work hard to be a modern community, welcoming to people of all creeds, races, sexual orientations, and gender identities. We like to remember that this church sits on what was Tongva land, and we acknowledge that these indigenous people are still among us. My name, Leanne Hart. I am your worship associate for today. For those with children under 5, we have a child care program that starts before church. For those with school-age children, we have a religious education program that begins after our children's moment that occurs early in the service. If any of you are newcomers, we are happy to see you, and we invite you to stay after church for a meal on the patio. Today, we will be serving up chili. 4 different types, maybe 3 types, for your discerning palate. We are a welcoming, non-dogmatic community, but almost everyone hates to hear your cell phone ring in the middle of the service. Just saying. So today is the beginning of our church year. We like to celebrate that with what is called water communion. People bring water from near and far as a way of symbolizing that our shared faith comes from many different sources. Today, the water ceremony will take the place of joys and sorrows. Okay, a few announcements. There is a new member class today. You can meet with our minister, Minister Chloe, here on the patio at 12:15. And anyone can attend for the information. You don't have to be new. Join us for the Multicultural Transformation Team next Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We are interested in learning more about the topic, Rise in Hate Crimes Against Asians. You will find the link on our website on Saturday. It is a drop-in Zoom meeting. Also, we have a little extra need for volunteers this Monday. As you know, we do a food packing service every Monday afternoon for the charity Community's Child. Today, we will be short 3 people, so if anyone has some time on Monday afternoon around 1, we would really appreciate you showing up, even if it's just a one-time thing. Also, we are still UU the Vote. It's a letter writing campaign to encourage voters in swing states to get out the vote. We've had a lot of people picking up letters. We appreciate it, but we still need more people, and you can do so by seeing Kelly in the back. Kelly, raise your hand. Thank you. You can also donate by contributing money for postage. We have a project that is going on. It's called the Indigenous Music Project. We're ready for part 2. As part 2, the congregation is invited to show up at a music studio, the Compound Studio in Long Beach on Sunday, September 18th. That's next Sunday in the afternoon, 2 o'clock. No musical experience is needed. Show up and be part of the recording of an original welcoming song for PUC. It's very exciting. Jewel will give you more details if you're interested. One more thing, we have a new group at PUC. It's called Current Events, and the topic for this month is drought and climate change. It will be held this Wednesday, 1 o'clock to 2:30. I believe it's in the library, is that right? In here? On the back patio. front patios. Steve, you're mispointing me. Wander around and find it. Okay. Chalice lighting time. Words by Laura Horton Ledwick. Fire and water, ancient opposites, sun and ocean, the cradle of life, dancing flame and dancing river, we invoke them together today as we kindle our water communion chalice flame.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chloe Briede, and I'm the interim minister here at Pacific Unitarian. It was so great to hear the choir this morning. Thank you, Severin. Coming home. Wow. Welcome to our In-Gathering Sunday. It's a Sunday where we celebrate the beginning of the church year and gathering together again in community. And we open this morning with a poem by Clint Smith, and it's called There is a Lake Here. There is a lake here, a lake the size of outstretched arms, and no, not the type of arms raised in surrender. I mean the sort of arms beckoning to be held, to wrap themselves around another and to never let go. And no, the lake is not a place where people are drowning, and no, this water is not that which comes from a storm or that which turns a city into tessellation of broken windows and spray paint. There are children swimming here, splashing one another while the droplets ricochet between them. The droplets do not hurt. They simply roll down the sides of the boy's cheek. No, the boy is not using the water to hide tears. He is laughing. Eyes cast out across the water in awe of how vast it is. There is a lake here. As a community, we gather in a lake of outstretched arms, feeling love as we gather together. It is in this spirit this morning that we gather, and we also light 2 candles, showing our love for the world. And we're going to light this first candle this morning to honor the 21st anniversary of 9/11, for those remembering loved ones lost, and for the ways that this event has changed our country and our world forever. And we light another candle this morning for the people of the United Kingdom and the world who mourn the death of Queen Elizabeth II. May we hold the complexity of her death with sensitivity and grace. Our lake, our church, holds both joys and sorrows this morning, love and grief, all of this together, knowing that life is forever a balance of many emotions. And it's in this spirit of many emotions and much power like a river that we sing hymn number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River. Thank you, Severin.
I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul, in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops in my soul. But I got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like the mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
Good morning. You can follow along in your insert, and if you would please rise, we're going to make a new beginning ceremony with Minister Chloe. As we prepare for the next chapter of our congregational life, we welcome into our community Chloe Briede as our interim minister. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as together we commit to our relationship of shared ministry. Sorry. If you want to read along with me. We welcome you as our interim minister during this time of transition, mindful of our free religious heritage and of the history and promise of this congregation. We look to you for moral leadership, religious insight, learned wisdom, and spiritual guidance. Will you walk with us in the paths of health, wholeness, and service to the best of your ability?
I will.
Will you help us deepen our sense of identity as a congregation and commitment to it, that we may be ready to enter into a mutually nourishing covenant with our next called minister?
I will. As an interim minister, my primary task is to help you prepare for your next chapter of called ministry. I commit to focusing on your strengths as individuals and as a congregation. I promise also to be open and candid, sharing my understandings with respect and love. I promise to listen deeply to your perspectives and to welcome the transformational power of genuine dialogue. Will you commit also to this way of being in relationship?
We will. We pledge to remain in honest and open communication with you. When we disagree, as no doubt we will, we commit to doing so clearly and directly, treating you ethically and with the same respect with which we want to be treated ourselves.
I ask you to remember that I am not Steve, nor am I called to fill his shoes. Each minister brings different gifts and strengths, and over time they weave richness into the tapestry of congregational life. At this time of beginning, I acknowledge that familiar patterns are important to you, and I ask you to be open to the possibilities of the new. I will work and play with you, laugh, and probably cry with you. I promise to be fully engaged, and then, when our work is through, to leave so that your next chapter of shared ministry may begin. Will you meet me in this partnership?
We will do our best to value your strengths and not expect you to be someone other than who you are. We honor your need for regular rest and renewal if you are to serve us well. Believing that the ministry of the Pacific Unitarian is the work of us all, we pledge to bring our gifts and strengths to this partnership, to share our resources, and to work with you for the good of the congregation during this interim period. With these words, our shared work is begun.
And I invite you into our centering hymn, Spirit of Life. I do appreciate the choir's enthusiasm, though. We do really love Spirit of Life as Unitarian Universalists, so. Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Spirit of Life was written as a prayer, escaping the lips of someone in need. Carolyn McDade was the author of this hymn that we know so well, and she says that she remembers most clearly the feelings she had when she wrote it. When I got to my friend Pat Simon's house, I told her, I feel like a piece of dried cardboard that's been laying in the attic for years. Just open wide the door and I'll be dust. She said, I was that tired, not with my community, but with the world. My friend, she just sat with me, and I loved her for sitting with me. McDade drove to her house in Newtonville, Massachusetts. I walked through my house in the dark, found my piano, and that was my prayer. May I not drop out. It was not written, but prayed. I knew more than anything that I wanted to continue in faith with the movement and with my friends, she said. Beloveds, we are gathered together again in community, praying through song and words and spirit, joining especially at times when we may be feeling like a piece of cardboard, worn out, parched by the sun, in need of the refresh found in water. So as you pour your water into our communal bowl, a symbol of our streams coming back together, perhaps to form that big, joyful lake, I ask you to share briefly where your water comes from. Or you might just add your water in silence. If you haven't brought water with you today, we have pitchers up here that's PUC water, so you can sort of just mix PUC water in with everything else, and even maybe name where your water might have come from if you had remembered to bring it, which is perfectly okay. And the water that we have here this morning from PUC has been blessed by Jewel and I's hands as we present it to you this morning. And so you can form lines. I say let's form a line on this side of the sanctuary, so over here, and then you can sort of go around as we finish. I'm going to start by adding my water, which is from my new home in Long Beach, California.
I left my water at home. But my water is from Pilgrim Pines, where from Thursday through Saturday morning, I was on a choir retreat with my director and one of the other directors and the choirs at Fullerton, and surrounded by the El Dorado fires and flash flood warnings. We made beautiful music, really meaningful connections, and we started towards a year that I think will be a fruitful one. So I'm very grateful for that.
This is Camp de Benneville water, which is a UU. Yeah, it's a UU camp that I went to twice this summer, and I had a lot of fun there. So.
This is imaginary water from White Pine Lake, Arnold, California, a blissful place.
I use the same water Carolyn did, invisible water, from Bass Lake up in the Sierra Nevadas, where me and my family go every single year to go camping for 37 years straight now.
I bring virtual water from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean, where I just finished a grand tour of seeing my friends and relatives in Daytona Beach, in Tampa, in Charleston, Atlanta, and North Georgia. And so I feel renewed and refreshed after all that.
I'll I'll put in invisible water since we're in a drought. And my water is from Niagara Falls and Lake Ontario, where I got to go this summer with my high school friend, and we had a blast. So yay.
This is our rainwater. Mine is also invisible virtual water from PUC, where the spirit of life, I'm very thankful for all of us.
This water represents water purchased at truck stops in 7 states that we cross through, bringing Levi back from boarding school in Missouri.
My water would represent every year. We try to find waterfalls because my husband and I find them so peaceful. So we went to Olympic National Park, which is the rainforest, and we went to North Cascades National Park, which is right along the Canadian border, and also to the Berkshires in western Massachusetts.
From the Levining Creek in the High Sierras.
This water is from the breakfast tray at Torrance Memorial Hospital, where I was housed for a couple of days while I got my brand new hip that's working wonderfully.
Hi.
It's from our house. My virtual water is from the Thames in honor of Queen Elizabeth. We were actually stationed in England when she became queen and when she was had her coronation. And most people don't know what an incredible humanitarian and peacekeeper and equality seeker she was. So this is in honor of her.
My virtual water is from Hawk Creek, also in the eastern Sierras, near Levining Creek, you just heard of, and I'll be there with Barbara in 2.5 weeks.
Our water comes from Kim's Pool, because we had so many good times over there during the summer, and it was wonderful.
We're going to pretend I remembered that this existed and I brought water, but from Wilson's Park Splash Pad, because I had a lot of fun there this summer with my friends. And from Washington, D.C. and New York, because I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to go there on a trip.
My water is from the collection from the rain from yesterday and the day before. All 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch.
I feel like it was already mentioned, but virtual water from that little creek up at Camp de Banneville. Hopefully there will be water next year and no more fires.
And this water is from Boston. I'm just able to travel and connect with a lot of people, so I'm just becoming more bi-coastal, and I am happy about that.
Last call, anybody? Okay. Well, as I'm going to pour some more of our water in here from PUC. May all of our experiences this summer and all of our experiences out of the last year mingle together in shared streams as we come back together on this ingathering Sunday. And if you would join me in singing Spirit of Life together one more time. Spirit of Bless this water. This water is sacred. It's made sacred by the many hands that have poured it with intention and love. The many stories that each drop contains. The many lives surrounding it in its unique moment, connected by commitment and faith. This water is sacred. May it continue to flow through this community with shining reflections of the unique gifts that flow through each of its members. This water is sacred. May it continue to nourish this community with sustaining hope that we journey together through ripples of growth and change. This water is sacred. May it continue to bless this community with loving reminders of our collective responsibility to one another and the world. This water is sacred. May its ripples be a reminder that changes and growth within this community bring movement and transformation to the world beyond our doors. This water is sacred. May its purity offer grace to our community and the willingness to forgive ourselves and one another when we make mistakes. This water is sacred. In moments when we are confused or uncertain, may it bring us a clarity of purpose and commitment. This water is sacred. In moments when the reservoirs of hearts and spirits are drained by sorrow or pain, may it nourish them with the knowledge that we are surrounded by deep and abundant love. This water is sacred. May it be so. Amen.
Morning. Can I have all the children come up front? Yes. Hi. Hi, you guys. A little bit different this week, being in service. It was fun to have you guys here and get to see Minister Chloe do the full service. Was that everybody's first water communion? Who's had water communion before you guys? Yeah. And who was the first time? Yeah. Maybe when you were a baby. Yeah, you don't remember that. That's okay. So it was fun to have you guys in service. This next week, we're going to go back to our classroom and our regular routine. We're going to be working on world religions. And so this story that Minister Chloe picked out is from the Sufi tradition. Okay, the story is called The Stream. A stream wound, oh, and thank you, Lisa, for being so gracious always and to help us out at the last minute. Okay, a stream wound its way from its course in the far-off mountains. It made its way passing through every kind of countryside. At last, it reached the sands of the desert. Just as it had crossed every other barrier, the stream tried to cross the desert, but found that as fast as it ran into the sand, its waters disappeared. The stream was convinced its destiny was to cross this desert, and yet there was no way. A hidden voice coming from the desert itself whispered,
The wind could fly, and this is why it could cross a desert.
Hey, you cannot get across. You will either disappear or become a marsh. You must allow the wind to carry you over to your destination.
But how could this happen?
By allowing yourself to be absorbed in the wind.
this idea was not acceptable to the stream. After all, it had never been absorbed before. It did not want to lose its individuality. And once having lost it, how was one to know that one's identity could ever be regained?
Then the sand spoke up and said, the wind performs this function. It takes up water, carries it over the desert, and then lets it fall again.
How can I know that this is true?
It is so. And if you do not believe it, you cannot become more than a quagmire.
But can I not remain the same stream that I am today?
Melissa answered, you cannot in either case remain so.
When the stream heard this, echoes began to arise in the thoughts of the stream. The stream vaguely remembered it had once been held in the arms of the wind, and the stream raised its vapors into the welcoming arms of the wind, which gently and easily carried it upward in the sky and let the stream fall softly as rain. The wind carried the stream many, many miles away to the rooftop of a mountain, and the stream became a river.
Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for joining us for our story. And so our children are in service with us today, so we ask them to just take their seats again. Thank you, Jewel and Lisa, for that. Oh, how relieving the rain can be. I heard it from one of you this week that this heat wave has felt like the pandemic all over again. Like hampering down in our houses and not wanting to move, like isolating ourselves from our friends and activities just in the interest of staying cool and healthy. The rain, for me at least, came as a relief. When the first droplets fell, I stood out on my patio and let their mist-like quality sort of cool me. It was just that sort of light rain. It was water cooling a landscape that felt like cardboard, the cardboard that Carolyn McDade describes feeling as she wrote the prayer or the song that became Spirit of Life. Oh, the relief of rain and water. The heat didn't last forever. The first of the four noble truths of Buddhism talks about dukkha, which is commonly translated to mean suffering. Life inevitably involves suffering, is what some people say. And I once heard a Buddhist priest describe it instead of saying suffering, but instead change. He said that inevitably change is what causes suffering. And I learned later that he was probably referring to the explanation of dukkha, which says that suffering has three aspects: physical and mental suffering, the suffering we construct as a result of the physical and mental suffering, and then the suffering that comes as a consequence of change. I can see why my priest friend made his point. Suffering and change go hand in hand a lot of the times. In our story today, the poor stream wants so badly to continue as it always has. The stream wants to go across the desert, across the dry land, unchanged. But we all know what happens when water crosses hot sand. Whatever doesn't run through the sand will evaporate from the heat. Like me, you may have witnessed that this weekend. It was so hot on Friday, the rain was leaving the clouds and not even touching the ground. The stream probably felt that way. The stream couldn't stay the same. It was an impossibility. It had to learn a new way in order to carry on. It must be willing to change despite how scary or even painful that might be. It can't continue on without allowing itself to evaporate, turning into mist or vapor and then reforming as a river from the rain. John Jerome, in his book Blue Rooms, writes about water and the waterways he has experienced during his life. He grew up in Oklahoma City and would travel to the Mountain Fork River every summer. An escape to the river from the heat of summer. And you can imagine Oklahoma heat in the summer. And he describes visiting the river on the border of Arkansas and Oklahoma. The river actually makes its way sort of back and forth between these two states. And he would go there, and he remembers swimming with his father and learning how to paddle a canoe silently as to not scare the fish as they were fishing, and exploring with his brothers and their friends. And in his 60s, he then starts to think about these memories, and he wonders about them, and he decides to return to that part of Oklahoma after living on the East Coast for a long time. And we might be able to guess what happened. He's faced with the inevitable realization that things have changed since he was a child. The bend in the river where most of his memories were grounded became part of a road. The fish uneatable because of chemical contamination. John says, shortly after he died, my brother Judd reminded me of the Zen advice about not pushing the river. The Zen advice about not pushing the river. And he says, perhaps that's what I was doing with the Mountain Fork. My father was a storyteller, my brother a poet, and I surely inherited the habit of exaggeration, he says. The Kayamachi Mountains were perhaps never as idyllic as I had remembered, and the river probably not as devastated as I perceived it now. Surely it was I who had changed. More than the river, losing the childlike ability to hunker down and explore every nuance of the stream, every pothole and rock surface with bare feet and hands. Maybe it's just that when you're 11 years old, any woods, any waters is paradise. It was the best river because my father said it was. It was the best river at the time, the best he and any of the rest of us knew. And he said, I've been enjoying it ever since. There's no reason to stop that now, even if the river he and I remember no longer exists. Now, John Jerome was a connoisseur of waterways, a canoeer, an explorer, a writer. In his lifetime, he saw a lot of lakes and rivers. The place that was supposed to be their best river wasn't like he remembered it anymore. And reading more with John through his book, you might see instead that he finds magical waters in other places. A lake in New Hampshire, for example, where he spends the night by himself canoeing in the twilight. He hasn't lost the magic of the water. Perhaps where he finds it has changed, and perhaps his memories help him love the other places he explores too. His experiences in Oklahoma have helped him love other rivers too. I recently drove through the town of Texarkana, and yes, this is a small city that's named after being on the border of Arkansas and Texas. I had not heard of it before I drove here. And it's near the river John wrote about. It's just a little bit south of where he was writing. And I drove through there with my spouse as we were moving here to California. And boy, did I feel like that stream from our earlier story, faced with moving through the desert and being unwilling to change forms. You see, I had been in New England for the last 7 years. And before that, before I moved to New England, I had lived in West Virginia. And it had taken me some time to adjust to being a New Englander, especially after leaving my heart in West Virginia. West Virginia is the type of place that gets into your soul if you let it. The hills and the hollows, or the hollers, as they say, with rivers and streams that sneak in between them. It took me a couple of years to really find my new form, a New Englander with a zest for snow and winter and walks on the beach in the middle of winter. Yes, that's a thing. And cross-country skis at the ready, though I never really got good at that. And I imagine that some of the kids who are with us today might understand feeling like the stream a little bit too sometimes. The transition from one grade to the next, not knowing if a new teacher will be nice or if the same kids will still make up the classroom. We may have to be like the vapor for a while before we realize our new form. And perhaps you feel like the stream sometimes too. Maybe here at church as we adjust to a new ministry, or perhaps at other places in your life. I spent most of divinity school convinced that chaplaincy was the right path for me. Visiting hospital rooms, meeting people with different religious backgrounds, accompanying people through hard moments. Sometime into my training as a chaplain at Massachusetts General Hospital, I realized it wasn't my path. I had reached the sand of the desert. It was hard to realize that I needed to change, that being a stream wasn't really right for me anymore, and perhaps it had never really been right for me. It's hard when you've created a narrative around your path or yourself, being willing to change and do something new. To become the vapor is hard. It took entering that vapor state, a state of transition, to find what I really enjoyed, parish ministry, especially this interim work. I realized that I love being with UUs. They're my people. I want to minister to my people, not strangers in hospital rooms. Minister to people who are open-minded, seekers, and a little eclectic, curious and honest, loving, Unitarian Universalists, my people. We have all had our desert moments, moments that force us to change. Where are you right now on that journey? Are you the stream? The water, are you the stream, the water of the river just sitting there, ready, unsure, maybe having to make a new change? Or are you currently floating? Have you become the vapor, having made that change, unsure where it's going to put you down? Or are you the river, flowing with new life and excitement and power? Beloveds, as we gather again for a new church year, we welcome you in whatever form you take. Yes, change is inevitable. Yes, it can be hard, but it also can be good. It is an opportunity to find our new form. Church is strong enough and big enough here for whatever you are at the moment. the stream, the vapor, or even the river. Whatever you are, we are so glad to have you with us as we regather in community this morning. Amen.
Thank you, Minister Chloe. Now is the time that we take our morning offering. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to the community, to each other. May our gifts now grace this community.
Good morning. I'm going to ask you to help us sing this song, and it's called Consider Yourself at Home, and as a way of welcoming new people and welcoming Chloe. So you see that the choir sings first, and then everybody sings. Let's say these words together. Consider yourself well in. Consider yourself part of the furniture. There isn't a lot to spare. Who cares? Whatever we got, we share. Okay. And then the choir is going to sing again. Okay? So don't continue at that point. Okay. And then we're all going to sing together. And I actually made a change in the lyrics, choir. I didn't tell you about this. Sorry. Sorry. So we go like this. We go, the low voices go, if it should chance to be, here we go, low voices. If it should chance to be together, all the voices, low voices in the audience, here we go. If it should chance to be, we should see some harder days. And everybody sings, every empty larder days, why grouse? Then the high voices. Always a chance we'll meet somebody to foot the bill. And here's the change in the word. Then the meal is on the house. Where? Okay. And then we do consider yourself, together, everybody, consider yourself our mate. We don't want to have no fuss, for after some consideration we can say, consider yourself one of us. Okay, here we go. So the choir is going to start. Ready? Here we go. Consider yourself. Ready? Here we go. Consider yourself well in. Consider yourself part of the furniture. There isn't a lot to spare. Who cares? Whatever we got, we share. Choir, chant. Yes, consider yourself. So after some consideration, everybody, consider yourself well in. Consider yourself part of the furniture. Sing it out. There isn't a lot to spare. Who cares? Whatever we got. If there's a chance to see, there can be some. Sing it out. Empty larder days, why grouse? Here we go. On the house, Consider yourself our mate. Don't want to have no fuss. So after some consideration, we can say, consider yourself one of us. Stay right there.
Please join me in the affirmation of gratitude. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us also be grateful for our needs, so that we may experience the generosity of others.
And you may rise in body or spirit to join us for our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home.
Abraham, you want to? Here we go.
Though below me I'll no motion, standing on these mountains plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the light of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
In closing, let us remember that this church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all of our differences and beneath all of our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May the love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts, now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. And now our service truly begins.
I'd like to thank the choir and Linda and Abraham. Thanks, Abraham.
Wonderful, our light shine. Walk in the light. Beautiful light, and wonderful, our light shine. Walk in the light. Beautiful light, ain't it wonderful? How the light shine. Oh, walk in the light. Beautiful light, ain't it wonderful? How the light shine. Oh, God's been good to me, brought me a mighty long way. He gave me strength and comfort all the way along the way. I keep him here in my heart each and every day, and I thank God for walking in the light. Oh, walk in the light. Beautiful. Oh, ain't it wonderful? Our light shine. Oh, walk. Oh, in the light. You've been my family, and you've been my friend. You said you would stick to me all the way to the end. Lord, I keep you near in my heart each and every day. And I thank God you're walking with me in the light. Well, walk in the light. Oh, beautiful light, and wonderful. Oh, how the light shine. Walking in the light. Beautiful light, ain't it wonderful? Ain't it oh, Lord, you've been everything I need. Lord, you said you would go with me and be everything to me. Lord, you've been my family, and now you're always my friend. I walking in the light. Walk in the light. Beautiful, really wonderful. How the light shine. Well, 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 well. Walk in the light. Beautiful light. And it's wonderful. Walk in the light. Beautiful. Well, well, and it's wonderful. Wonderful, glorious, marvelous, beautiful, wonderful, 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 glorious, glorious, marvelous, marvelous. Walking in the light. How the light, how the light, how the light shines.